Hello, comrades of Left Voice. I'm Letícia Parks. I'm a militant of Movimento Revolucionário de Trabalhadores, the MRT, a group member of the Trotskyist fraction here in Brazil, and I sent this video to greet the realization of your Congress. From Brazil, we follow a lot of what happens in the Black and communist struggle in the USA, and we're very excited to see the emergence of a group that understands the importance of fighting against racism and capitalism as one single struggle. After all, there is no capitalism without racism. The enthusiasm for the Black struggle outside our borders has accompanied generations and generations of Black women and men here in Brazil. When the enslaved Haitians raised their heads and decided to take control of their island, at the time the richest French colony, our ancestors received the news systematically from merchant ships and pirates in what one Brazilian researcher called the diaspora web of communication. The freed sailors carried news from one end of the ocean to the other about the audacity of the struggle for freedom in Haiti, just as later, here in our land, we followed the news about the Black struggle for freedom that moved cycles and cycles of escapes from the south to the north of the USA, making Black women and men the most determined soldiers in the armies of the north. The possibility of being activated by the dynamics of the international class struggle made the fear of Haitianization one of the main fears of the Brazilian dominant class had, a subjective factor that led to increased repression and control by the Brazilian state against the enslaved Black masses in Brazil. And Haitianization was not just a fear, it was a fact. Urban uprisings and attempts at national independence in some regions of Brazil were in some way potentialized by what was heard happening in Haiti and in the United States. Our struggle here gained allies and victories that increased hope and contributed to other types of strategy for the conquest of the so-dreamed freedom. This internationalism of the slaves today takes the form of revolutionary internationalism, which, like previous one, is based on the rejection of the brutal forms of domination, pillage, and robbery, which in our time is called capitalist exploitation. It is because of the theoretical effort of American Trotskyism in the 30s that we now understand racism is an invasion of the capitalist system, as Brightman once wrote. It was with racism that slavery was able to expand and become the primary form of labor in the European colonies for almost 4 centuries. Slavery, which was previously based on religion, conquest, war, with the advent of race, became the weapon against an entire continent of people. Thus, it was possible to accumulate extraordinary wealth to the point of transforming sailors into a new class with more power than feudal monarchs. And it is also because of the same theoretical effort that we understand it is from Black labor and then from the Black people's desire for freedom and our participation in bourgeoisie revolutionary processes that the capitalist system overcomes the feudal system. Sewler James, in the context of this reflection, comes to a simple conclusion. If the Black masses were so decisive for the overcoming of feudalism by capitalism, we can only have a prominent role in the death of capitalism. In his words, this is the prognosis of the future. In Africa, in the United States, in the Caribbean, on a national and international scale, the millions of Black people will rise their heads, stop kneeling, and write some of the most massive and brilliant chapters in the history of revolutionary socialism. In the 21st century, when we recover this legacy of our tradition, we attest to its veracity and its power. We have seen what was done by the working class and youth alongside the Black masses and the struggle for justice in the move worldwide known as Black Lives Matter. The millions who took the streets in the United States fueled the class hatred of app workers here, who in their strike during the pandemic carried George Floyd's photo and raised their fists just as the image showed Black people doing there. I could see also in Europe the impact of BLM on the revolt generated by the murder of young Nael by 2 policemen. The Parisian youth in their 12, 13, 14, 15 years old have spent the last few weeks burning down police stations, police cars, and demanding justice and an end to racism and Islamophobia. This is evident revolutionary potential that appears in our revolt and can be radicalized and take the form of an anti-capitalist revolutionary struggle if it relies on the undeniable power of the working class, which with a policy of class independence can paralyze profit, divert production to those in need, reconnect the energy and gas of poor neighborhoods, take control of the whole society and overthrow the bourgeoisie, constituting a workers' government. This conscious attitude towards revolt is what makes us be in every single struggle, demanding justice, equal pay, reduced working hours, all the rights of women, blacks, LGBT community, against every attack they try to impose so that we pay with our sweat and blood for the capitalist crisis they created. Our presence in the struggles, in the organization of workers and youth in their places of work and study, must be done carrying these ideals of anti-racism, of free gender, of human potential in art, philosophy, all that makes us carry the embryo of communism in our daily practice. In Brazil and in the USA, even under so much pain and oppression, black women and men created samba, jazz, and blues. We dance like ballerinas in basketball and play like gymnasts in capoeira. This is why we cannot be mere trade unionists or career politicians. We believe in more than a Bill of Rights, and we cannot accept that our class must fight on separate days, ignoring the lack of rights of Mexicans, Colombians, blacks, migrants. We believe that in order to build a new future, we must put in the government of society the minds of this working class made up of peoples who until today have not been able to express their ideas in creativity, and allow that in this new society, free from pain and oppression and exploitation, the racialized masses of the world can, as part of the working class as a whole, offer their contribution to thought, culture, art, and science. As Sailor James once said, the racism that now stands in the way will bow before the tremendous impact of the proletarian revolution. And when it does, Trotsky has already predicted, the human species as a whole will attain the stature of an Aristotle, a Goethe, a Marx, and new summits will rise above it. Have an excellent Congress.